We have breaking news right here on CNN from our Caitlin Polans, who has been reporting on the possible indictment of John Bolton, the former national security advisor for President Trump in his first term. Caitlin, what do we know?
Casey, John Bolton, the former national security advisor to Donald Trump, a longtime federal government official, has been indicted by a grand jury. We are learning that through two different sources from our producer, Hannah Rabinowitz at the Justice Department. And we have confirmed that the grand jury was in today with the lead prosecutor on that case, the same prosecutor who had been on some of the documents of the search of Bolton's house just 2 months ago, or not even 2 months ago, a prosecutor who also has some experience in investigating these sorts of things. He was a prosecutor that was also working on the Biden classified documents handling investigation that led to no charges. But in this situation, the bulk of this case, it's been going on for several years, and our understanding is that it's about John Bolton's use of an email account with AOL, an email account where he was writing diary-like notes and summaries of his time as national security advisor to himself, at times even sending them to his wife and daughter. And that is the sort of thing that the Justice Department does say frequently, not just in the climate of a Trump administration, that that's something that you should not do. We have seen many charges like this before of other high-ranking officials, and that also with John Bolton in those search warrants, and what we're very likely to see in court going forward is that the Justice Department saying he should have known better. Casey?
Caitlin, can you take us through here the timeline of investigations into John Bolton and just what we know and don't know about the administrations under which they were started? Because there was a probe into his book that started under the first Trump administration that the Biden administration later dropped. Can you just walk us through what we know, what we don't know about whether these two things are related?
Yeah, Casey, I think as far as thinking about this, in which administration did it start, it's not about that. It's more about when there was information coming into investigators that led them to want to investigate the possible criminality here that would lead to an indictment today. I'm still waiting to see exactly what the indictment says about what type of documents they would be that would be mishandled, what is in there about timing of an investigation, or even timing of when these original acts would have taken place and the federal government learned about them. But Casey, the arc of this investigation, there were two things that happened. Both of those things became part of the search warrant. One, John Bolton was writing his book, and when he was working on the manuscript, was in touch with federal officials to clear everything, to take things out of that book that might be classified. He worked with them for some time and then got into a tiff, essentially, with the Justice Department and the Trump administration. They didn't want him to publish it. He wanted to publish it. It did go to publish. And that was something Donald Trump wanted him investigated about. That's one aspect. But this AOL account, that's another thing that has had a long history of being investigated, both by people in the Biden administration, career prosecutors, as well as career prosecutors still in the District of Maryland in this administration. And the arc of that investigation, it came to the Justice Department because John Bolton, his email was hacked by a foreign government. And during the intelligence collection around that, as far as we know from our sources, it became clear to the American federal government that there might be stuff in his email account that probably shouldn't have been kept in an unsecured way.
Well, and the hack by a foreign government of his commercial email account would sort of underscore the point that you're making there. Okay, so our Kristen Holmes, senior White House correspondent, just asked President Trump, or was in an event with President Trump where he was asked about this indictment. Let's watch that.
Know that you tell me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes.
Have you reviewed the case against him?
That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. Will I what?
Have you reviewed the case against him?
No, I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person.
That is the voice of our Kristen Holmes there. Caitlin, he sort of handled that a little bit differently than he sometimes talks about some of these other cases. But of course, underscores his personal feelings about his former national security advisor.
Yeah, Trump has for some time said that he wanted to see Bolton face consequences, especially for that book. It was very damaging for Trump at the time, and he even went to court to try and stop Bolton from publishing and was not able to do so. But in recent months, Trump has been pretty reticent about speaking about Bolton. He said publicly he wanted others to be charged. Adam Schiff, who has not been charged with any crime, James Comey, who has, Letitia James, who also has. Bolton has not really been at the forefront of the people on Trump's list lately. One thing I do want to add, though, we are now hearing from both Hannah, covering the Justice Department, Hannah Rabinowitz, and our own Evan Perez, that Bolton is expected to self-surrender as soon as tomorrow in federal court in Greenbelt, Maryland. So it's not going to be a long time until we start seeing more of the meat of what this case may be, and the court proceedings get off to a start very quickly. Casey?
Very interesting. All right, Caitlin, stand by for us. I know you're going to have more information coming in, both from you and, of course, our great Justice Department team. Our panels here, we also still have Elliot Williams, legal analyst, and Bill Brennan with us as well. And Elliot Williams, let me start with you here. You were in our text chain earlier talking about John Bolton's AOL account. This, of course, seems to be the central piece of the indictment here. And as Caitlin just walked through, this apparently came to light amid a hack from a foreign adversary, an intelligence investigation into that. What would you underscore here as, of course, we consider this in the context that we're all living in here of the second Trump administration?
Yeah, certainly. And, Scott made the point a little bit earlier. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. That's how it works. Someone's charged with a crime. I will say, and Barrett Berger, again, who I went to law school with, and we were chatting about this earlier in the text thread, we were talking about this very point. I cannot say, Casey, how many warnings you get as a young Justice Department attorney about the handling of classified information. And that includes don't email things to yourself. Don't take your notes out of the room. Do not write on classified or sensitive documents, because every time you alter or manipulate a document, you could be exposing yourself to trouble. Do not show things to other people. Do not share things with other people. You can only look at certain things in certain rooms. And more than anybody else, again, John Bolton, innocent until proven guilty. But if there's any human being who ought to know better about sharing information, it's him. Now, again, it remains to be seen how much information the administration has about him. And more to the point, and we said this in the text exchange too, even if he is guilty, the extent to which Trump, the president, has been speaking about John Bolton's guilt could jeopardize, the integrity of the investigation. The more you talk about, the president talks about wanting people to be locked up and wanting his opponents to be locked up, the more he sort of casts a little bit of a cloud over the seriousness of the prosecution. But again, we get so many warnings about the use of classified information that every time someone screws it up, you just sort of have to scratch your head about the stupidity that goes into mishandling information like this.
Right. Well, and Bill Brennan, to that point, this is someone, and we know from the search warrant that came down for his home that his comments that he had made in public about others who were accused of mishandling classified information or using, a commercial app to communicate, in the case of the Signal Gate issue, that John Bolton was well aware of what Elliot Williams underscored here, how you should handle this information.
Elliot makes an excellent point, Casey. The training is just so people are inundated with these warnings: don't share, don't email. And if he came out of maybe HHS or EPA, he could possibly raise some defense that I didn't know. But he was the National Security Department. Ignorance of the law, which doesn't work anyway half the time, is going to be no excuse in this case. And I'm going to steal a word from Elliot. It's either his stupidity, and he is not a stupid man, so it's probably his arrogance that led to this, if in fact he did it. I can't say enough. The fact that he's indicted does not mean anything. He's presumed innocent, but it doesn't look good. This is a 5-year investigation, and warrants were authorized by federal judges for his residence and his office, and the prosecutors handling this are the U.S. attorney is a President Biden appointee with a long history in the Department of Justice, and the line prosecutor is from the National Security Division, who worked on other cases of a similar nature. And the type of allegation here, Casey's troubling because there's that iconic photograph of allegedly classified documents behind President Biden's 1967 Corvette in a garage. For someone to get to them, you'd have to break into President Biden's garage, move his old Corvette if it starts, and maybe get these documents. In this case, it's on AOL, which anybody can hack, and apparently a foreign government did, and it puts this nation at risk if, in fact, he did this. And how is he going to look at a jury and say, I didn't know? This is the guy who's telling people not to do this, who made remarks about Secretary Clinton. If I did what they say she did, I'd be in an orange jumpsuit. He may get his wish.